So imagine that you will that I'm pulling out a very, very well-worn copy of a book printed sometime in the past. So let me tell you the tale of a man named Dennis Jensen, a truly mediocre
it's
name.
erotic already.
No, there is nothing.
Never met a Dennis I didn't want to fuck.
Yeah.
Dennis the Menace?
I asked him what his name was, and he leaned in and said, "Yeah, it's Dennis." So this
what
guy,
I like about Dennis is honesty.
This guy was like a conservative family values Liberal MP, the Liberal Party in Australia. So the conservative one from Western Australia. He held office from 2004 to 2016. He was mainly known for being a big-time skeptic of anthropogenic causes of climate change. So a regular Australian politician. He also had other notable achievements as a big piece of shit, like being one of the handful of people who boycotted Parliament on the day that the formal apology to the stolen generations of Indigenous people was made. So that's pretty cool.
Seems like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, he also told Indigenous people who claimed to be affected by European colonization over 200 years ago to, quote, get over it. Nice guy. So he lost office in 2016, but why? Why did he lose office?
Was it because any of the horrible things that he has said or done?
Now, you might think that, but you must not know much about Australia. The racism, that's one thing. The climate skepticism, hey, that's par for the course. But did you perchance write a horny book? In which case, we need to know about that shit. In 2016, the Australian broke a story that he had written a book and attempted to get it published back in 2007 under a pen name and everything. There's like emails that came out of that he sent to the publisher where he's like, only you and I must ever know that it was I who wrote this book. Very funny. Very funny, self-serious stuff.
I love writing a book, but using like wearing a balaclava with an IRA voice changer.
So this newspaper published excerpts of The Sky Warriors, his book, which was a fantasy war thriller, attempted Tom Clancy style, in which Indonesia invades Australia, does battle with Australia, a thing that lots of Australians spend too much time thinking about. So right after the story broke, he lost his endorsement from his party for his seat, which effectively ended his career. So after getting fired for horniness, he then went ahead and self-published the book on Amazon, looking to make that big money by selling it for $6.51 a copy.
I kind of respect that, not giving up on his dream. You know,
it's like, well, fuck it. Everybody knows about the book now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good marketing.
It's the logic of, well, fuck it. If you're gonna say that I am whatever you say I am, actually, he's a Facebook guy.
No, he's just thinking, I'm gonna make so much money off of fucking podcasters.
God damn it, he's right.
So this story centers on a brutal Indonesian dictator who hates Australia. After a military coup conducted by the former head of Indonesia's armed forces, which is General Rajiv Rono. So this guy comes to power and then launches incursions on Australian territory. But it turns out that he's got China in his back pocket the whole time, which is a big twist in the story. You know, they veto the sanctions against Indonesia.
Doesn't seem very horny so far.
Well, as soon as he has launched this conflict, he gets horny. Allow me to read to you.
What, like he's not horny at all until it started?
Who amongst us has not staged a coup and immediately become very horny as a result?
That's why we've got to keep an eye on...
That's my kink as well, yeah.
Got to keep an eye on Janine Áñez in Bolivia, for sure. Very worrying.
All right, so everybody cinch up your belts nice and tight. Try and stop yourself from tearing your pants away and scrabbling at your genitals as I read this to you. Okay, here's an excerpt from this. So he's hanging out with his mistress. He has a wife. She doesn't understand him, but his mistress understands. Flushed with the excitement of the moment, Rono felt that he just had to relieve himself. He violently...
Wait, sorry,
He's gonna pee in her?
Yeah, it's a water sports thing. It's fine.
This guy does not know how to piss. That's...
Well, like, also, I love so much the concept of a white Australian trying to name an Indonesian person and calling him Rono.
Rono.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Please carry on.
He violently pulled Yasmin's blouse buttons apart, completely ignoring her protests. Yasmin didn't believe in wearing bras.
No.
Very sexy.
Very good. Yasmin didn't believe in wearing bras. In fact, she really didn't need to. Her breasts were still as firm as they had been in her late teens.
What's up?
That's not how that works. And like, I claim a degree of special expertise here in that I fucking grew mine in my 20s, and it's like, this doesn't do that. What?
Hey, she doesn't need to. Magical breasts.
Yeah, the breasts understander has logged
Yeah,
on.
he can imagine magical breasts, but he can't imagine a woman being into fucking him.
Oh, but she gets into it. Don't worry. Rono massaged her small, soft brown breasts, luxuriating in the silky complexion of the skin.
Ooh, that's the most erotic thing you can
guy?
do.
He's a skin guy?
The most erotic thing you can do is massage a woman's breast at arm's length.
Yeah. When
Women
you
love
think about it, it's one of the most normal things that sound the least normal when you describe it is having a skin kink.
I simply love to touch skin.
I mostly like have like sex involving the skin. Like, yeah, technically, but what?
Look, for me, I like to have sex as much as the next guy, but if we can keep the skin out of it, if there's any way that we can have full penetration, hardcore sex, but with no skin touching,
Yeah,
that puts me right
like
off.
a boneless chicken wing.
Okay.
Just a very breaded sexual encounter.
Please, carry
I
on.
want to get to the point where his penis expands to fill the entire room.
He took a nipple in his mouth and gently bit on it. Yasmin's nipple hardened and she moaned with excitement. He moved his hand up her inner thigh until he felt the warm wetness with his hand.
What?
Yes.
Love some warm wetness.
It's just like sticking his hand in a bucket full of water. Beautiful.
And then he fell asleep and peed himself.
Yes, she moaned. Do it now, please. Don't wait any longer. She pulled his trousers off, ripped the underpants off excitedly, and took him in her mouth. This was
She
one of the
does all of
rewards.
that with her nipple still in his teeth.
Yeah. Like, what kind of fucking twister are these people playing?
The most uncomfortable 69 of all time. This was one of the rewards that Rono so enjoyed, the fruits of his victory.
Okay.
I love to stage an international conflict
What victory?
and get one blowjob. That's where it's at.
I love to. That's what's up. I like to have sex in a way that gives me spina bifida. It's very cool.
So,
Damn, she got that scoliosis pussy.
so
Please carry on.
So Dennis Jensen. Let's learn a little about the characters here. Keep in mind, Dennis Jensen was a former defense analyst and research scientist before he became an MP. So let's now read this description from the book of Sean Anderson, who was the main character, and wonder if it sets off any alarm bells for us here.
Okay.
Sean Anderson was the deputy head of ASIO. That's the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, for those playing at home. Anderson was not a tall man.
Everyone mark that on your bingo card.
Anderson was not a tall man. He was nearing 50 years old, balding, and was thickening around the middle.
Cool.
I like that this dude is just writing about himself. It's wonderful.
Is
Why did he
sticking
do?
around the middle just a way to say that he has a boner?
Yeah, the dick is expanding.
Specific boner.
Yeah,
His
he
boner
has
was
like
expanding to
a
fill the room.
localized boner. Yeah,
It doesn't get longer.
Just
The
like
tip-
the girth increases, but only in the
But
middle.
just in the middle
Yeah.
of the dick.
It's like
tip
looks like
very
a
soft.
speed
The
bump.
base very soft. It's like a speed bag or a punching bag.
Like a lemon.
I was.
Got
Oh,
a dick like a
With
lemon.
a lemon dick.